It's time for Don and Ron. You won't get this anywhere else.
Hi folks, welcome to another edition of Don and Ron. Today we're talking about laying out end numbers on your cub wings. It's one of those things, it can be difficult, but it's really not as complicated as it's made out to be. One of the things that you can get is this little guy right here. It's a real simple cardboard cutout, and this is what they used back in the military because they could make any letter that they wanted to, or any number with this simple 18 or 81, depending on how you're looking at it. And what we do here at Don and Ron is we start with the bottom wing. The bottom wing is what's pretty much the most important because it is flat. And what we do is once we lay out the end numbers on this wing, which in this particular case is the bottom left wing, and we get a lot of our dimensions, we get all of our dimensions from the Cub doctor, Clyde Smith, and we kind of talk about him and the information that he provides. He's a cornucopia of knowledge, and can't say enough about getting information from him. But anyway, so we start out with our 24-inch high letter, and real simple. What we do is I got my lovely assistant with me today, Kathy. If you want to hold on to that, this is my lovely wife, and we start out with a seamstress tape measure is all we do. And so we take the seamless cloth tape measure because it's a lot easier to deal with. You don't have to worry about having an extension on your measuring tape and hitting the button and it sliding back and cutting your fabric or scratching your nice pretty paint. So anyway, we start from the root rib, okay, the butt rib here, and you come over and you just measure 16 inches just like the instructions tell you. And one of the things that's kind of easy to do is putting the tape on the wrong side of the line. I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many times I've done that, and I've had to come back and relay my tape. So when you make your mark, you just come over 16 inches. But anyway, and it says it in the instructions, and we'll show you those in a little bit of B-roll footage. But it gives you all the dimensions to start with, and it's, again, 16 inches to this, and then it's 26.5 inches from the trailing edge to your line, and then 24 inches in between your next line. So the first thing you do though is you lay out your two lines, your two horizontal lines, all the way the length of the span of the wing, so that you got your upper and lower mark. So it really helps establish where it's at to start with. And then again, come over 16 inches, and the particular end right here is another 16 inches for the end itself. So it's a special letter. And then every letter is 4 inches wide. So you take, now you got your outer perimeters, and you got your top and bottom parameter, and you just simply come over 4 inches from that one, 4 inches over to here, and you just lay two vertical lines. So now you have your the two vertical lines. Now all you need is your diagonal. The diagonal is pretty neat, or say neat, it's real simple. When you kind of lay it out, is you want to go from the top edge of this 4-inch line to the top edge or inside of this right here on the 4-inch line, and then you do a 4-inch bar right across there. So when you do it, it makes it look a little funny when you're putting that diagonal across here being 4 inches. So it's one of those things once you wrap your mind around it. And what I recommend you do is you take a piece of cardboard paper or some masking paper, because you're going to be painting this. Get a piece of 36-inch paper, again, or some crepe paper, coloring paper, poster board that your child uses for class, and lay this out and kind of practice. It makes it a lot easier. All right, well now we have the next letter, which is a 4-inch gap. Again, make sure as you put your tape on the right side of your mark, because now you'll wind up with a 4.5-inch gap, because you won't take into consideration this 1/4-inch line or that 1/4-inch line, and you'll have much too big a spacing right there. And of course then we do our NC, and if you look right here, this is how this guy really comes into play, because now if you kind of look at it when you lay it up there, you have a 4-inch gap that you can go with right there, and you just basically do the outline, and it just goes straight instead of having your indentation for an 8, and you just have the outline coming up, and you make this border here, mark your points, and this is what you come up with. And then if you look at your picture, the dimension here, okay, is the same dimension from here to here. Again, same thing, when you've got your tape here, it's easy for you to put this piece of tape on the wrong line and you wind up with something that's 1/4 inch too long. So this dimension from here to here is the same dimension from here to there. So just real simple. And then once you do that, then you can measure from here to your top line, which is 8 inches. And you come over from this one down 8 inches. And now you got your little horizontal line right there. So it's, again, it takes just a minute to wrap your mind around it. That's why I say practice before you actually do it on your airplane. Because once you do it and you wind up, you got a line that's coming down wrong. It's a 1/4 inch out of angle. Or you don't have 4 inches all the way around for your actual letter. That's when you'll kind of say, and you'll have to pull your tape up and do it again. One of the techniques that I want to show you is we use either 3M or Smart Tape by a company that really is made by 3M. We use really good fine line tape, and I like using 1/4 inch because it's easy to work with, and when you go to masking it off, you've got a big enough edge here for you to run your masking tape on. But I want to show you one of the important techniques that we have. Kathy, if you'll give me a new razor blade, I'd appreciate it. There we go. New razor blade, guys. New razor blade every time, okay? Now I take my little guy. Normally you would think, man, there's no way I'm going to cut on a piece of fabric. Well, just as a little bit of an example, I'm going to show you how we do it with a piece of tape. Now, I try to go past where I'm going to be cutting at. For instance, I may want to cut right here. So I've got this much wasted tape, or you think I got wasted tape. Well, this is where using the razor blade the right way. And now I take the razor blade in my hand and I gently just place it right on top of that. I don't try to move it. I just place it right on top of that. And then I take my tape, and look how nice a pretty straight line that makes right there. Okay. Sometimes you'll get one where you're on a bump or hump and it does not want to cut because the razor blade is not laying right on top of the tape. That's when it's really kind of gets you unnerving, and that's when you have to just gently, and you notice I kind of support my hand right here, and I just basically scribe only the tape, okay? And I'll do my little deal right there, and I'll take and just gently pull it across there. All I'm doing is scribing the tape. I'm not trying to cut anything more than that right there. Alright, and that little guy should peel right out of there. But I'm just barely cutting really the tape itself. But again, have yourself a pretty good tail sticking out so that you got plenty of room to hold on to it. I've shown one here that's too short. You can't do this technique with a little short tail like this one is right here. It needs to be a long tail so you can pick it up, you can manipulate it, put your razor blade on it, simply cut it right off. So that's my technique for cutting your tapes. So besides just making your letter, so you start with, like I said again, with your upper and lower lines that go all the way the length of the wing. Then you start here at the butt rib, do your measurements. And you need to kind of check yourself. You want to measure every now and then all the way from butt rib to your line, and then come down here and measure and make sure you're not off. But one of the kind of key things that will kind of show you if you've kind of measured wrong, look at your ribs. Your ribs should be right in line with your tapes. And that's another way of kind of looking at it and make sure, like right here, this point of this C is exactly where the point of the C is right there. So it's just another reference point for you when you're doing these letters. Now, we're going to be doing a time lapse on this, and what we do when we get done doing all the letters on the bottom of the wing, the letters and the numbers, we're going to show you in just a second how we do a stencil. We take a piece of our 36-inch paper and we lay it up here, and you can either take a pencil, or one of my favorites is this a charcoal pencil that you buy from your craft store, and you can outline every one of these letters. And now when you do the top of the wing, which has all the scallops in it, you know, from the ribs, okay, and it's not flat, all you have to do is lay out your 24 inches on the top of the wing, and then you lay out your 16-inch mark here, which is right on top of a rib, okay? And then you can just lay your stencil up there. You've got all your marks, and now you can take and I take and cut out little notches at each one of these corners so that I can reach through with a pencil or my charcoal pencil, and I can actually physically mark each one of these corners for these lines. So that's how we make our stencil, and we're going to show that a little bit later. It'll probably be on our next segment. And then you take that, like I said, lay it on that other top of that other wing. It makes your life a whole lot easier, because trying to measure and down those dips and all that stuff is really hard to do. So doing the flat part of the wing, the bottom, is much easier, because you got a good surface to work with, a good canvas, a better way of putting it. So anyway, kind of bear with us. We're going to be doing some more letters and stuff and numbers down through here, or numbers, and we'll get the stencil. When we start making the stencil, we'll have another segment to the video. So thanks again for joining Don and Ron on laying out your end numbers on your Piper J3.